I want to thank everyone who been posting on these different, making comments on some of these difficult issues that I've been putting up on Facebook. Everyone's been so good. Very Vaishnav. Very respectful. Quoting from scripture, sharing realizations. Very nice. Even though a lot of times not agreeing with each other, but respectful. Very nice. Hare Krishna. This last post, I was asking the question, if I was in the spiritual world at one time, why would I leave? Especially since there's the verse in Gita where Krishna tells Arjuna that once having attained the spiritual world, a person never returns to the material world. So I'm in the material world. That means I've never been in the spiritual world. Because Krishna says, once you go to the spiritual world, you never return to the material world. I'm in the material world. That means I've never been in the spiritual world. Srila Prabhupada, my spiritual master, explains that, yes, you were in the spiritual world, and you misused your independence, and you had to take birth in the material world within the cycle of samsara, 8,400,000 species, and you've been here for eons, undergoing the miseries of birth, death, old age, and disease. Now, I accept everything Srila Prabhupada says as absolute truth. I don't always understand or realize what he's saying. That can take a while. I'm still working on that. But it's happened so many times before that Srila Prabhupada has explained something, and it's been way over my head, and I've just left it alone. I haven't challenged it. I haven't disregarded it. I just left it alone and worked on what I need to work on to make some progress, and just leave the things that are way out of my reach. Just leave them alone. And then eventually, after a little while, whoa, yeah, I get what he's saying. Yes. Yes, I see it. I realize the truth in what he has explained. So this is one of those. On the one hand, Krishna says, when you go to the spiritual world, you never come back. On the other hand, Prabhupada's saying, you were in the spiritual world and you did leave. The comments and the discussions that have been going on about this, very illuminating. And the topic of Jai and Vijay as a case in study for devotees that left the spiritual sky, had to take birth in the material world. Why they had to leave and what happened to them. It's interesting to note that they left the spiritual world They were the gatekeepers of Vaikuntha, Jai and Vijay, trusted servants of Lord Vishnu. They left because they offended Vaishnavas. They offended the 4 Kumara brothers by seeing them as mundane personalities. They saw them as just some silly children, although they are great self-realized souls. And wouldn't allow them entrance into Vaikuntha, and laughed at them. Going back just a little bit further, why Jai and Vijay did that, why their mind became twisted like that and distorted, it's explained that actually Krishna wanted to fight. He had a desire to fight, and there's no fighting in Vaikuntha. Everything's very peaceful and harmonious. There are no demons, there's no fighting. You can only fight in the material world. Because he had that desire, he arranged a situation so that the gatekeepers would offend the Vaishnavas and have to take birth in the material world. So the Kumaras, 4 Kumara brothers, they cursed Jai and Vijay for their offensive behavior, that they would have to take birth in the material world. And Lord Vishnu explained that he couldn't reverse the curse, but he could give them a choice. They could take birth 7 times in the material world as devotees, and then return to the spiritual sky. Or they could take birth only 3 times as demons and fight with Krishna and be killed by Vishnu. So which would you like? 7 times as devotees, or 3 times, and then you come home? The gatekeepers chose 3 times to be killed by the Lord, to fight with him. And the Lord would incarnate and fight with these demons. If I take that as a case study, does that mean that I'm in the material world because Krishna wanted me to be here? He set me up somehow so that I would be here for eons and eons and eons, recycling in samsara, birth and death, over and over again. Krishna is the cause of all causes, so Krishna caused it. That doesn't really enhance my relationship with Krishna much. It's not, thinking like that does not help me to surrender to Krishna. Even if that is true. Krishna can do anything. So, what's going on here? Jai and Vijay appeared 3 times as demons, but they also appeared a 4th time as Jagai and Madhai in the Leela of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They weren't killed by the Lord in that incarnation. They were elevated to Vrindavan, Vraja, Bhumi, Krishna Loka. Previously, they'd been gatekeepers in Vaikuntha. By the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, they were elevated to Vrindavan Leela. Jai and Vijay, before encountering Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, were very, very sinful. They were like a lot of the people that are walking around on the street today. They were drunkards, meat eaters, sex mongers, cheaters, liars, even murderers. They had accumulated a mountain of sinful reaction. It was all recorded in Yamaraja's court. They were going to have to pay for all of the sins they committed. There was a record of it. When they received the mercy of Lord Ananda and Lord Chaitanya, and they surrendered to Krishna, it was all erased. They weren't just forgiven, it was forgotten. It was gone. There was no record of it. They were like newly born, or like the Christians, born again. Completely new. All of it was gone. And considering that if I was in the spiritual world and I did commit some offenses, why would I want to go back there in the same way? Everybody remembering, oh, here she comes again. Remember when she did that thing? She's back. Why would I want to go back to the same exact situation that I was in when I left? If that's actually what happened. And Prabhupada says that is what happened. You were there. You made a giant poop. And out you go. Material world. Learn a thing or two. I wouldn't want to go back there. Back into the same situation that I had the problem in before. Knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness are three potencies of Krishna. In order for me to really feel good about going back to the spiritual world, I have to feel like I'm going to the spiritual world for the first time. I have to go in complete innocence and purity, with no recollection anywhere or record anywhere of all the stuff, either before I left the spiritual world or while I was in the material world. It all has to be gone. I have to be completely new and clean and pure. There has to be no recollection. It's not just you're forgiven, it's forgotten. It never even happened. You're a new person. That's the only way I can go back. I have to go back as a completely new person. And that's what happened to Jai and Vijay. By the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I'm sure there's more to this. in the comments and discussion that was taking place, there were so many points of view and scriptures quoted. Of how we got here, how I got here, where I came from, where I've been, like that. But the conclusion is, it doesn't matter. Because the only way I can go back is if that's all gone. And even if Krishna did set me up, I have to have no recollection of that. Some devotees reach that conclusion, that like with Jai and Vijay, Krishna wanted to fight or whatever, do something that he can't do in the spiritual world, and so he made arrangements for... Some devotees think like that. It is the case with Jai and Vijay. Whether it's the case with everyone all the time. One thing I'm learning in Krishna consciousness is that it's not a one-size-fits-all. There's a lot of variety. Devotees go through different things, and Krishna deals with the devotees in different ways. It's very individual. So what may be true for some devotee is not necessarily true for the others. So all of those things may be true. Krishna set me up. I made a mistake, huge mistake, offended Vaishnavas and devotees. Or I decided I just didn't like it there, and I wanted to be as good as Krishna. I was tired of serving Krishna. He gets all the attention all the time. I don't get anything. I want to be the center of everything. I want everyone to bow down to me. Satisfy my senses. I want to be the friend of everyone. I want to control everything. Maybe that too. Maybe all three of those. Maybe only one of them. Or maybe something else altogether that I don't know about. But the thing is, it doesn't matter. In order to go home, whatever it was that got me here, it has to be completely forgotten. No record of it. And that's probably why I can't figure it out. It's been erased. Going back home means going as a completely new person, as if it's the very first time I've ever been in the spiritual world. And I'm going to meet Krishna for the very first time. A new person. So, I just wanted to try and share some of that. Having a great time here. Hearing, chanting, reading. It's really wonderful. Krishna. I don't know how long I'll have the facility, but while I've got it, I'm going to take advantage of it. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jai all the Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna.